And a campaign group is seeking to either reform or replace the World Health Organization. It's a project aligned with the goals of the Trump administration. The U.S. is exiting the WHO early next year, citing concerns over funding and Chinese Communist Party influence, and wants a new organization to better fill the role. NTD international correspondent Malcolm Hudson brings us more.
The United States is due to withdraw from the World Health Organization on January 22nd, citing numerous issues the Trump administration says the WHO has failed to correct. Campaign group Action on World Health is reviewing the WHO with the end goal to either reform or replace it. Their chief executive, David Roach, highlighted the WHO's funding model.
Now the United States is leaving, the largest funder has become Bill Gates through the Gates Foundation, and the second largest funder is the Gavi Vaccine Alliance. Now between the two of them, they're representing 25% of the whole funding model for the WHO.
The WHO has become increasingly reliant on, quote, specified voluntary contributions from the private sector, governments, and public-private alliances. These earmarked funds make up a larger part of its budget than the core fees paid by member states, and are directed to causes of the donors' choosing.
You have to be able to trust that when the WHO is giving its advice, when it's formulating policy, it's doing so objectively, and it's not doing so because people or organizations have bought influence.
Political influence is also a major concern, particularly from the Chinese Communist Party. A December 2024 report by the House Oversight Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic described the WHO's response to the pandemic as an abject failure, saying it yielded to pressure from the CCP and placed China's political interests ahead of the WHO's international duties. Roach said WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus got far too close to the CCP.
And that's because Dr. Tedros was essentially China's pick, and is China's pick. He, very early on in the pandemic response, was praising China for its actions. He was praising them for lockdowns. And he actually said that this is a model that the rest of the world should behold and should follow.
Speaking in November at a conference hosted by the campaign group Together Association, National Institutes of Health Director Jay Bhattacharya said the US leaving the WHO is a challenge to the, quote, ecosystem that produced the panic during the pandemic.
If we can replace the WHO, and this is the goal that the United States has, to replace the WHO with a structure that actually cares about the health of the world's public.
Roach said Action on World Health's independent review panel will say which is the best route to take, to radically reform the WHO or completely replace it with a new organization.
Both of these options could potentially be quite expensive, quite difficult to do. It requires on the consent of member states. But we've got to do this because the WHO as it exists today cannot continue to fester in the way that it has been for quite some time now.
Action on World Health is expecting to finish its review of the WHO early next year. Malcolm Hudson, NTD News, UK.